We're back after a longer than expected break. Interjections episode 104. And guess what? Inter has signed exactly 0 new players since we last potted. We're going to figure out what's going on. I'm your host, Andrew. Jay and Mikko here with me. You'll never believe it, but Irfan's skipping this episode. I know, I'm stunned too. Jay, who's getting less action right now? Inter in the Mercato or you on Bumble?
Certainly Inter, because I am just flat out with my Rolodex of Bumble matches. It's insane how people deal with this shit. I'm new to this scene, but yeah, shit's crazy, man. It's a terrifying new digital age we live in, and I'm having trouble keeping up with it. But not as much trouble as Inter is having, because Inter can't seem to get any action whatsoever.
It's true. It's true. Mikko, you met your wife before cell phones were invented. What was that like?
Not exactly, but yeah, almost a good joke. Anyway, happy to be back after our little break. What can I say? I can't be too positive this time, as Jay kind of laid it out. Not much action going on in the Mercato and
Nor in Finland.
Nor in Finland. You're absolutely right. I'm ready to dissect everything which hasn't happened in Inter.
There's been so much that hasn't happened. Let's recap all of it. So the last time we spoke with you all, I'm not counting the awful Jay and Irfan Subito. The last time we spoke with you all, Inter were neck deep in negotiations for Lookman. Those negotiations stalled. We probably spent a cumulative month chasing Lookman to no avail. The latest reports, after all is said and done, is that Atalanta won't even name a price they're willing to sell him to us for. They just simply refuse to sell Lookman to Inter. He's not training with the team. Apparently, he's picked up an injury. And it was a frustrating month because during the course of that month, we put seemingly every other aspect of the Mercato on pause. There were no other reported targets from the media. We were all just standing around waiting for Lookman updates. So since we last talked about Lookman, there have been a few developments. One was late last week. Romano broke the news that we were in on Kone from Roma, who is a midfielder, which I think is important to call out. But these rumors were dead on arrival. Less than 24 hours later, it comes out that Roma is unwilling to sell Kone because of feared backlash from their fans. So despite the fact we were in negotiations for, it sounds like 10 days with the player, that idea quickly evaporated, and it doesn't sound like there's any life left in it. In defense, we haven't done much of anything. We never made offers for Leone or De Winter, and both were sold to Liverpool and Milan, respectively. And those were the targets: Lookman, Kone, Leone, De Winter. Those are the only tangible names we've really been linked to all summer, and we haven't made progress in negotiations with any of them. So the situation now is the season starts 1 week from Monday, and we have not acquired a single first-team player since before the Club World Cup again, when we signed the trio of Boni, Henrique, and Sucic. We're yet to sell, which is a whole nother conversation. Taremi and Aslani, who are both clearly on the market, are still here. Taremi is not even with the team right now. He's doing God knows what, but he is probably training individually, trying to unlock a move to the EPL. Aslani is still playing prominent minutes in our friendlies leading up to the season, despite the fact Osilio told him to find a new club, what is close to 2 months ago now. There's some reports Bologna's interested, but I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So where does that get us? And it's just another disappointing Mercato starting really since the Club World Cup. I mean, we have 40 million to spend, it seems, right? I mean, the reported price of Kone was like 40 to 50 million. Lookman was 40 to 50 million. So we have this 40 million to spend. We're moving at a glacial pace. And the most puzzling thing in all this is that we have glaring holes in all three stages of the squad. We need another reserve forward. You cannot go into this season with just Pio and Bonnie as your reserve forwards. You've been saying this for a while. You need to find a replacement for Asllani/Zalewski, assuming Asllani is going to leave and Zalewski is going to get hurt, as he always does. And you need to find a younger center back because your core central center backs are just too old. And we're not close to accomplishing any of these three things. And for the second Mercato in a row, I have to put this on Marotta because he's trying to be opportunistic. He learned, agents told him that excellent players like Lookman and Coney were available, and he thought he could get good deals on them. He didn't. And now it just feels like there's no plan. We're bouncing from position to position, begging someone to take our money. And I just don't get what we're trying to accomplish. Because I totally if a good market opportunity comes up, you have money to spend, you want to pounce on it, but there's no direction. And I have zero confidence he's going to save face in the home stretch of this Mercato. There's just too much to do when the season starts in a week. Time isn't on our side. We're not going to be able to integrate these players. And let me make the point before Jay does. For the second straight summer, we're looking at a season of making no changes to our starting 11. Next week, when we play Torino, we're going to be rolling out the exact same starting 11 that lost to PSG, probably, with the exception of Hakan, who will be suspended. The news that it broke late last night, my time, and it's really picked up steam in the last hour, is that we are close to a sale. Zalewski is desired by Atalanta. They want him to come be their new starting left wing back. They sold Ruggieri earlier this year or earlier this Mercato, so this would be the replacement for that. They're offering, I don't know if this includes bonuses or not, they're offering 15 million, which is about double what we paid for him a couple months ago when we activated his buy option. It sounds like we're cool selling him. It sounds like negotiations are full speed ahead. I don't know if you know this, but we have good relations with Atalanta, allegedly. This is another thing. When you dissect it, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Because, sure, there is a easy capital gain opportunity here, an easy plus Valenza opportunity here, and that you're going to sell a player for double you paid for him a couple months ago. But do we really need 7 million in capital gains right now? Is that the problem? Do our club's financials really need that? Are we going to be able to replace this guy in the next 2 weeks, given how slow we are to sign players? Do we want to be doing business with Atalanta right now when they refuse to even entertain us on a Lookman sale? Maybe I'm petty. Maybe this is why I'm not cut out for negotiating. But if I was running things here, I would not even be willing to have this conversation with Atalanta unless they gave us a definitive path forward to signing Lookman. So that's another thing we're going to have to untangle here. We're going to see what happens in the next week or so. But man, we have a lot of work to do, and I don't think a lot of it's going to get done. So Mikko, you sound like you're not going to be optimistic. You're not going to be all smiles, butterflies, and rainbows after what's been a disappointing 3-week stretch here. So how are you dissecting everything that's going on?
Yeah, you kind of explained it, that we have now, if you start counting the days, it's been over a month and a half we haven't signed a player to our first team. So it's pretty rough summer, or has been pretty rough summer since those few signings early on. I don't know what's going on. Why can't we kind of seal any deal? I kind of understand the Leone one, where we didn't really rate him 40 million, or even what Liverpool paid for him. None of Italian clubs did that. I feel that's a bit unfortunate that Italy loses this kind of kid already at 18 years old to EPL, but this is how it goes, apparently. I think the winter was, I don't know. I think he was kind of planned to be a replacement for Pisek or Pavard, and apparently we are not selling them, or there are no like proper buyers for them, so they are staying. But I don't know. This lookman thing, that this is so weird that it's been, well, it's been over a month for that as well now, and nothing's going on. I don't know, are we like waiting for the last week, like last days, and then we ask again, or what's the plan? What's Atalanta's plan? I don't honestly understand them either. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to wait that we move on, and then Lookman realizes that okay, he needs to go somewhere else? I don't know, but that requires some other club to offer something, and maybe there aren't the other club coming. So I feel a bit strange, like how Atalanta is handling this as well. But let's see. Yeah, a lot of rumors, but nothing kind of remotely concrete. The Manu Kone rumor I was pretty excited about that for those few hours, but and there's actually still rumors that it's not dead, even if was it DiMarcio who already reported that it's dead, but now this Corriere dello Sport editor-in-chief Zazzaroni, who's the famous Inter hater, but he's been in this summer, he's been spot on with, at least with Lookman things. He said that it's not dead, and it's about money, but I don't know, like how can you know with all these rumors going on? But I would be excited to have that guy at Inter. I guess he was never on our radar because at least for me it looks like he was kind of offered to Inter, and we never kind of looked into him because I assumed that we consider him pretty good, that there wasn't like an opening to even get him, but then someone offers him to us, so of course we go for it. But I don't know what Roma is doing. Like it's hard to say with all these rumors, but he would have been a very very exciting signing. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the management is still waiting with the sales. Now this Zalewski thing. The absolute latest is the Aslani sale. We tried to sell him to Bologna, and apparently they are interested. But let's see what are the final numbers. I guess if we can get like, I don't know, 12, 13 million plus resale percentage, that's been rumored. At least the resale percentage has been rumored, so maybe that's the way to go. I guess we try to just generate more funds to do something, but I don't know if there's like 40 million already like waiting to be spent, and then we try to generate more. Like what's the end game here? How much we need to generate to then to do what? Like can we get some signing like finished? It's a bit baffling at this point, at least, and not kind of optimal situation to wait for the last weeks and then start signing like 2-3 new players when the season has already started. So I don't know, is it just the market situation that we don't want to spend too much, so that the management is waiting that the prices are right or something? I don't know. For example, the De Winter, he wasn't that expensive. I think it was less than 20 million actually. So yeah, hard to say what's going on exactly.
Well, let me go to a man who will surely know what exactly to say. Let me tee this up for you, Jay. Is Marotta cooked?
the end of last season to what we've seen up to now has been one of the single biggest periods of irreversible aura loss that any club has ever suffered in the history of football. The way that Inter bumbled, sorry, Freudian slip there, fumbled the Scudetto race, bottling another title, the way that we got trounced in the Coppa Italia, and then, of course, the all-time, one of the absolute GOAT humiliations in the Champions League final, and then the way our coach departed, the way we replaced our basically top 5 in Europe in terms of performance-wise coaches with a guy who has less games, than you have like shits in a week. And the way that this Mercato has been just dawdling along with this idiotic lack of direction. Everything in the last, when was the Champions League final? Like May, June? I don't even remember. But whatever's happened in the last 3 months has just been like a historically just pathetic period for this club, I think. I don't need to repeat anything that's been said regarding the transfers because you guys have encapsulated it all perfectly. It's all just we have an interest in this guy, and this guy seems to, allegedly only wants Inter, and then it feels like Marotta, it just feels like Marotta's gotten like complacent, or he feels like, oh, the job's done. Now that there's a player who we've made the player want Inter, job's done. It's going to be smooth sailing from here. We just need to sort out the details. Atlanta want 50 for Lookman. Yeah, I'm sure 40 plus 3 million in bonuses will get it done. But when push comes to shove and he starts receiving those no's, then it seems like he has no answer. And that's been the case for Lookman, seems to be the case for Kone, and I don't know if we bid for Leone or De Winter, but either way, we've missed both of them. Now we're stuck with what? 37, 38-year-old Acerbi, 33, 34-year-old De Vrij. As you mentioned, Andrew, we're going to be playing the exact same starting lineup 3 years in a row. Like, who the fuck does that? Seriously, who the fuck does that in world football? It's unheard of. And it just goes to show, like I said, the absolute clown show that has been this club for the past 3 or 4 months. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed my break from watching this disaster piece for the last couple of months. I did not even know that there was a friendly played against Olympiacos last night, let alone watch the thing. But what can I say? I'm slowly my ears are slowly perking up at the thought of another season. And even though I've long maintained that this has the potential to be one of the all-time worst seasons in living memory for this club, I'll still be there for it. I'll still still tune in. But I just it would be remiss if I did not congratulate the excellent, just unspeakably fantastic Mercato conducted by AC Milan here. I think some of the deals they've made have been fantastic, and I think that they are without question, the forerunner, the absolute undeniable favorite for the Scudetto this season. So, in fact, I might as well just go ahead and say congratulations, Milan, on the second star.
Shameful. That's all I have to say. What do you guys make of...
Shameful, perhaps, but not wrong.
How do you even respond to this nonsense, Mikko?
I don't know. I think, first of all, we need to set some new house rules. We need to keep the word aura, out of our fucking mouths, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to Milan, I guess the Mercato looks good on the surface, but what they really need is they need kind of stability, and I don't see they don't have the stability yet. Allegri might bring it, but I think it takes more than one season to kind of get back on top. There's like no fucking way they win the Scudetto. I think their Scudetto will be the top 4. back to the Champions League. But yeah, maybe that's enough for Milan.
We have to do our league preview next week, but I honestly cannot even sit here and tell you like what Milan's starting 11 is, because I know they've sold like Teo Reinders, the center back who blows to Newcastle. Like I have no clue who they've signed besides
for 40 million. They sold that piece of shit for 40 million, guys.
which is insane.
Well, yeah, that I'm going to congratulate them. That was a brilliant piece of business. Like I don't understand how that happened. But yeah,
money.
Let's get back to Inter.
All right, well, let's get back to Inter. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this Zalewski saga, just because it's the breaking news and it's the only thing happening in this mercato. So let's just assume Zalewski leaves, and right now it's a safe assumption. So that creates another hole in the squad. Zalewski has been this jack of all trades. He has played on the right for us. He has played on the left for us, both at wingback. He played in Mkhitaryan's position in the midfield. I want to say we tried him out as like the supporting attacking player in the 3-4-2-1 during the Club World Cup. So we've played this guy everywhere. And in the second half of last season, when we signed him, he was an impact player. He was one of the only players we had who wasn't dead tired. And honestly, it felt like there were several games where we were completely out of ideas on the pitch. And the plan of attack was simply get the ball to Zalewski, let him pick it up, carry it into the opponent's half, and see what happens. And I was impressed with the player, honestly. Like Zalewski grew on me, and he's a great luxury player to have in any squad. And you get why he wants to leave, because he's basically third in the pecking order in every position here at Inter, whereas at Atalanta he'll get to be a starter on a Champions League side. So you get why he wants to leave, but like, where do we go from here? You need to sign someone else unless you want Darmian to start playing major minutes again. And you can sign a left center back if you want and kind of relegate Augusto to the permanent left wing back. You can tell Augusto he's more of a center back at this point in his career. You can sign a wing back. You can try and get lucky again and just sign a player like Zalewski who can play everywhere on the pitch. So I'm just curious, like, where do you go from here, Mikko?
Yeah, about Zalewski, I remember when we talked about Zalewski coming to Inter back in January, there was this hilarious take by me that I would rather sign Biraki than Zalewski. but I was also kind of impressed by Zalewski, how good he was for us, and yeah, I don't fancy seeing him leaving, but I'm gonna still give the benefit of the doubt to the management to do something with that money, because I just can't understand other way than just they just need to make money for some reason. Maybe it's the cash flow, I don't know, but it can't be the plus Valenza like Andrew kind of referred. Like, what's the use of that at this point? Like, nothing. So yeah, he seems to be going to Atalanta now, and I don't know. I fear what you said, that Darmian is going to stay in the team for sure, but is he again the kind of the backup on the right, and we switch Luis Henrik to the left then, or maybe Henrik, how do you call it, Henrik? He plays on both sides, maybe like a backup for both flank positions. That's maybe one. And I don't know, will we keep Palacios after all? Although he hasn't played a single minute. Not. He hasn't played a single minute in the preseason, so I would say he's not going to stay. But we need to remember Zalewski hasn't played a lot either. Did he play? He didn't play that much in Club World Cup. He hasn't played in much in the friendlies, so maybe Kivu doesn't appreciate him as much as like we do, or what Inzaghi did. So maybe he's kind of expendable for him. That's that's kind of seems to be the case since we are selling him. But I wanna hope we have like some plan that okay, we get this money now, we sign someone like within a few days or at max 1 week. But I don't know. The track record isn't great, so I don't know what to kind
there's
of.
there's no way. There's no way in hell we're gonna be able to.
What's the realistic expectation? What we're gonna do now? But I'm still a bit optimistic that we're gonna do something in the last 2 weeks. Like we have to do something, but hopefully sooner than later. What's your take on Zalewski case, Jay?
Yeah, it'd be a shame to lose such a useful player after just 6 months. I think given the positives that he brings, his versatility, his energy, his pace, his two-footedness, his technical ability, and his overall, I think just his overall package, you've got a really decent player there, and one who probably suffers from being so well-rounded in the way that someone like Florenzi kind of suffered. Florenzi, let's not forget, Florenzi started off as an attacking mid before ending up kind of playing as like some rotational fullback for the remainder of his career, right? And I think that was all down to his versatility and just the fact that he can sacrifice to play in other roles. And I think the same is true of Zalewski, as Andrew mentioned. We've used him everywhere, and I think he deserves a bit more trust than that. I think he deserves to be like a designated backup in one position and give him that chance to compete for that one role. I think that's probably the most useful thing for his development, considering he is still pretty young, despite having, I think, over 100 appearances in Serie A. So it's a shame to lose him. And for all the benefits that I mentioned, I don't think you can find them, or I think it's hard to find all these pros in a player of Zalewski's level for the same price. And ultimately, I kind of come to the question, and this figure is based on the recent stats where Gazzetta just moments ago said Zalewski to Atalanta is a done deal for 17 million. I'm sitting there asking myself, is that a lot of money? Is 17 million a lot of money in 2025's football market? And I honestly don't know the answer to the question. I feel like I'm conditioned by seeing, every semi-half talented prospect go for 40 million at the drop of a hat to some of these English and Spanish teams. And likewise, I'm conditioned by the exact opposite as well, which is seeing us struggle so heavily with, we couldn't afford to pay 6 million for Sommer 2 seasons ago. So we decided to pay 7 million in 2 installments of 3.5. You know what I mean? So like by that standard, 17 million is a lot of money, but is there even such a thing as like an absolute truth, or is it always relative? I don't know, but given our comparative or the fact that we comparatively don't need money compared to where we were this time last season or the season before, I think 17 million is not as enticing now as it was back then. And so to lose a player of Zalewski's quality for 17 million, even if he's a backup, even if we did get him for cheap, that seems a bit weak. So I turn the question over to you, Andrew. Is 17 million for Zalewski good business?
The answer is yes, because the amount of players we have on this squad who we can liquidate for 20 million, like on demand, is so few. You've seen it with lesser talents like Asllani. You've seen it from even like someone like Dumfries, who had a release clause at 25 million and no one wanted to come knocking for him. Like it is hard to sell players for 20 million unless you have an English team who's coming and being their dumb English selves and bidding an amount of 3 times what a player's worth. So just from a purely monetary standpoint, it's like, yeah, this is an offer too good to refuse. And it's easy to imagine a scenario where Oaktree stepped in and said, you're taking this offer. But that's not what the reports have been so far. The reports aren't that we're flush for that we need cash. The reports aren't that Oaktree has demanded sales. And while individually selling Zalewski for such a large sum is good business, you're more than doubling what you paid for him. It just speaks to the lack of plan we've been operating under this entire mercato. And where are we going to go from here? Who are we going to sign? We haven't been linked with a single wingback. Is there someone we're going to be able to go and close the negotiation in 3 days to get ready for the season? Or are we going to be doing the thing where we go and we agree to terms with the player and then we spend the last 2 weeks of the mercato trying to sign like Miranda from Bologna or some nonsense? So I just don't have enough faith that we're going to identify a replacement and assign a replacement in a timely way. And this just feels to me like we're going to be sitting here a week from Monday. We're going to be playing Torino and Darmian's going to be making an appearance at left center back or left wing back. That's the most likely scenario. I don't want to make Zalewski into something he's not, because it's not like he is a world-class talent. It's not like this is someone we think is going to one day grow into being a starter at Inter. But not every player in your starting 11, or not every player in your squad needs to have a future path to being in your starting 11. You need these pocket knife players. And in a way, Zalewski is what Darmian used to be. He's just a useful player. He's young, he's fresh, and he's energetic, and he can take up any position when you need him. And those guys are valuable, and I just can't even think of another name in the league who we can sign who matches this profile. And we don't sign people from outside of Serie A. So
and for a comparable price, I mean, that's a great point to compare Zalewski to Darmian. And as you so accurately said, these players are valuable. Let's look at Darmian's contributions to us since he joined us in 2020. Is that worth his clutch goals here and there, his ability to fill multiple roles, his consistency, his professionalism, his just like the good kind of vibes he brings, always being a willing runner, someone who doesn't complain, just works hard, all this kind of stuff. Has that not been worth more than 17 million for us in the time he's been here? Despite the fact you would never say Darmian was a 17 million euro player. You know what I'm saying here? Yeah. How do you put a dollar value on that kind of value that Zalewski has a potential to provide us? Because as you said, I really do see Zalewski as like the new Darmian, basically. And Darmian himself, the OG Darmian, is still here and looks like he needs to be phased out. And we've got a guy here who could play a important, maybe not critical, but important rotational backup, multi-positional squad role for years to come, And despite what I said about that hindering his development, if that's where we get good use out of him, and if he's okay with that, then why the hell not,
And I just the thing I want to emphasize, and I said this once, is I can totally see Zalewski asking us to let him go, and if that's what's happening here, I get it. If he wants to be a starter, but this one still hurts. The easiest path forward for me on this, like the thing I want to see us do, is just go and sign Friendrup. I've kind of fallen in love with the idea of the player in the past month or so. I know it's a different position. Like I'm suggesting we sign a defensive midfielder after selling a wingback, but it doesn't sound like we have room to sign anyone until we make some sales based on the way this mercato is going. So if selling Zalewski is what it takes to get a defensive-minded midfielder in here, and based on the prices we were talking about for Friendrup, it was 20, 25 million. We're basically there with Zalewski. That's where I'd like to see us go. And we can figure out the Asllani thing later. We can figure out the Zielinski thing later. But let's at least get a talented, useful, defensive-focused player in here and figure out the rest later.
I just saw a tweet from, who is this, Matteo Moretto? I think he works with Fabrizio Romano.
Yep.
He says that after the sales of Zalewski and Asllani, Inter want to sign a forward, midfielder, and defender. And I remember
that's taking place after we've lost the first 2 games of the season.
I remember literally, was it yesterday or Friday, when DiMarzio reported that, okay, Inter might not want to sign anyone, or
Internazionale is closed.
They are looking for opportunities only. And these rumors are just crazy because the situation so-called changes every other hour. But
how is the Zalewski deal not linked to a potential Lookman deal? Like, how is that possible?
Right, and that's 100% how I feel about this. Why are you doing business with a club who are being completely unreasonable about Lookman with us?
But I actually feel a little bit the opposite, because I feel like them suddenly asking us for Zalewski is like almost them saying like, fine, we'll negotiate for Lookman. Let's see what you have for sale, kind of thing. That's what it feels like to me. I won't say like an olive branch, but you know what I mean. It feels like we're going to them begging for Lookman, and then they're finally opening up and saying, all right, in that case, I guess, well, let's see what you guys have. How much do you want for Zalewski? That kind of thing. Am I the only one who feels like that?
Could be the case. Could be the case if we like in the next few days, there's maybe some rumors about Lookman deal. Maybe if we want.
I mean, wasn't the rumor? And Andrew's right in saying that they haven't really given us like super clear answers on Lookman and how much they want and all that kind of stuff. But all the rumors, at least to where I followed, all the rumors seemed to suggest that 50 million was the magic number, and we just kept piss fighting around with 40 million, 41 million, 40 plus 3, 42 plus 3, all the way up to 45, spending weeks to get up to 45, while Atlanta just said 50 for the whole time. So it sounds like 50 is the magic number. So we've already offered 45 by the sounds of it. Now they come back and they say, we want, we'll buy Zalewski for 17 million. Just fucking give them Zalewski for free and get Lookman for like 35 or 40. How is it that complicated if that's what it is?
Yeah, I gotta see.
The thing I want to add about the tweet you just read, Mikko, is I said the exact same thing in my introduction today, and it's clear we need to sign players in all phases of the squad right now. We still need help at center back. We still need an Asllani replacement. We still need to sign an attacking player. So he's saying like a number 10, an attacking midfielder. Regardless, you need someone who can slot into the attack and be another option beyond Bonnie and Pio off the bench. So we have not signed anybody since June 1st. You need to sign 3 players now in what is essentially 13 days. We have no reported firm targets in the market, and we have no clue what budget we're working with. Like, how does this end well? How do we pull this off? I have no faith we're going to be able to make this happen. And I'm sure there are things happening behind the scenes that the media just isn't aware of yet. I mean, the Kone thing, was reported we were in talks with his agent for 10 days before the news finally broke publicly that we were interested in him. But we have gone too long now without doing anything meaningful in this market for me to think we're going to execute 3 purchases in 10 days.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There's no proof that we have the ability to get these deals done in a short period of time. Like, look how, I mean, obviously I'm not suggesting that it actually took this short, but just look how quickly Leone went to Liverpool. So much noise about Inter and a little bit about Milan, and, Parma want 35, and then all of a sudden it's Parma want 40, and this other nonsense, and Inter don't think that is worth that much. And then a bit of the usual kind of meaningless reporting, and then all of a sudden, boom, Liverpool interested, boom, next thing you know, Romano, done deal. And like, again, I'm a pragmatic person, despite what some might say. So where's the evidence that Inter's capable of doing the same? I haven't seen it in a while.
Well, look at the Zalewski deal. News broke less than 12 hours ago that Atalanta were interested in him, and now we're sitting here on what is Sunday morning for me, and Romano just tweeted, "Here we go, coming soon." Like, they effectively closed on this, as far as we're concerned, in 12 hours. we have no ability to move at that pace.
Exactly. I mean, thinking about to like our recent signings, Enrique, who else, Sucic, whatever. Like, I feel all these deals kind of slowly materialize the Inter are serious on this person, and whatever, and then over a period of weeks it became official, and then they joined. Further down the line, obviously they didn't join immediately; they joined after the season ended. That seems to be the way we like to do things. We like to work during the actual season, so like the off season for the transfer market during the actual season, and then it seems like when the mercato is actually open, we can't do shit.
All right, so let me pose this question. So the Moretto report Mikko just read said we're going to sign 3 players: an attacker, defender, midfielder. So Mikko, rank for me your order of priority for those positions, most important to least important.
I won't say defender, even if that's probably the most popular answer by Inter fans, but I think we get rid of Zalewski and Aslani now. I don't know. I would say maybe the midfielder. Unless it's Lookman. If we can get the Lookman done, I think that's the best one at the moment, because it's been there for so long. If we just can kind of seal the deal, get it done. So okay, I'll say forward, because Lookman is a forward, at least for me. So I'll go with the forward. How about you, Jay?
I don't know, man. I'm inclined to find ways to agree with pretty much any take on this, even fucking goalkeeper. Like, I feel like any strong team needs like a kind of mainstay, long-term, reliable goalkeeper, and Summer's done a great job in that he obviously came in and he felt like that despite not being that. He felt like he'd been here for a long time, but realistically, he's been here for 2 years, and I feel he's been declining pretty steeply in some of those, in some of those months, despite some great performances here and there, like the one against Barcelona. But even goalkeeper, like if you could tell me that, there's one name we actually haven't mentioned yet, it's Donnarumma, but if you told me that that was like a serious option, then yeah, that might be like a high priority for me. But it seems like he's demanding something absurd for his salary demands. Centre back, as I mentioned earlier, De Vrij and Acerbi are both, or should be both, on their way out, and I feel like, again, having someone at the heart of defense that you can trust as like your, where's our Van Dijk? You know what I mean? Where's our 2017, 2018 De Vrij or Miranda? We don't really have that right now. We have Bastoni, but again, it's a little bit different, I think, because Bastoni oftentimes feels more like a complementary attacker than he does a defender. And then obviously there's inconsistencies between Pavard and Bissek. So I feel like we don't have, aside from Bastoni, that absolutely locked in central centre back. And again, going to the midfield, yes, for better or worse, our 3 starting midfielders are very, very kind of deeply tenured. Barella's not losing his place anytime soon. Hakan has been a mainstay in the league for years and has firmly established himself in the Inter midfield. But we've spoken about Hakan in previous episodes, how it felt like the time to move on Hakan was nigh, and Mkhitaryan, despite deserving so much praise, is also, I think, deservedly the recipient of some fair criticism. But point is, I don't think he's going anywhere either. So I feel like we really lack like that kind of superstar midfielder, or like a game-changing, game-winning, another Barella in midfield. But so those are, the areas that I'm looking at. But at the same time, like I said, this is a cop-out answer because I'm just giving one for each case scenario. But likewise, if you do get a Lookman, then you're completely stacked in offense, and then your offense becomes like a potential title-winning weapon if you can get the other pieces in order, or if the coaching works out. Again, that's a complete unknown as well. But a team with that level of firepower should be able to outscore most teams and should be able to score a great variety of goals from anywhere, right? So any of these positions, if reinforced well, could be the defining positions. So I don't really have an answer in terms of which I find to be the priority or which I want to see prioritized. I just want some fucking quality in any position.
What's your answer, Andrew?
I will go midfielder first, especially if Kivu ends up changing formation. I don't have much trust in Hakan. I'm over Mkhitaryan. I'd like to see us bring in somebody new, and that's why I preferred the idea of signing Kone to Lookman just based on profile and characteristics. Then I will go attacker, and then I will go defender. I don't think people are giving enough airtime to the problems we might be having in attack this season. Lautaro and Thuram, you know what we're going to get there in terms of inconsistency. You know there's going to be 3 months each where they do not score goals, and then you're relying on a kid who's never played a Serie A match before in his life, and Bonnie, who scored 6 goals last year. I've said this numerous times. I'm just not comfortable with that. I'd love to see a more definitive answer. So I get everyone who wants a new center back. I totally see it. But if you're asking me which position group is most likely to survive the year, is it a starting trio of Pavard, Acerbi, Bastoni, or is it a starting trio of Lautaro and Thuram? It's probably the defense I feel better about, if we're being honest. The reports are just coming hot and heavy right now. Apparently, Aslani to Bologna is picking up some steam, and there's some optimism that's going to get done. So that's also courtesy of the guy who works with Romano. Is it Marotta? So sales are happening, if nothing else, or sales are moving forward.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Quick point on the kind of priority for the signings. You guys made a good point that I picked Lookman and the forward, but at the same time, if you sign Lookman, I think we need to also kind of get the midfielder addition. We can't go with just Lookman and be done with that. I think maybe our midfield is not proper for if we play with 3 forwards, or like with Lookman, Thuram, Lautaro, for instance. I think we need more then. So it's a bit tricky situation, and actually I'm going to backtrack now, and you guys provoked me to be back myself and more optimistic that I believe we will sign at least 2 more players in this market.
There
Hopefully
we go.
3, but
Mikko able to manufacture some optimism. I never had a doubt.
You mean we'll probably sign some reserve left center back from Argentina for 8 million and no one's ever heard of?
Let's not do that anymore. But I'm willing to take
scout another goalkeeper for 12 million. Well spent.
I'm willing to take Friendrup and Lookman, for example. That would be a nice combo.
The longer I reflect on the Martinez transaction, the more I think we had some like secret promise we had to deliver on for God knows whatever reason.
Yeah. I don't know. The Martinez signing doesn't look that good. If there's like this less trust in him, at least like last season. I don't know what happens now this upcoming season. Like,
did you
will
guys
he play
see that
anymore?
Valentin Carboni scored on debut for Genoa.
I did.
It was a great goal as well.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
It kind of makes you wonder why he's not here. And I know we talked about this a little. He could have been useful this season. Maybe he'll benefit more. He'll get more minutes on loan. But as we fail to sign absolutely anybody, like it's pretty easy to see a role he could have played in the squad.
Yeah.
I'm still taking the Genoa loan rather than keeping him. It's the long-term thing. He's going to be a stud for us later, but let's let him cook there. Be patient.
All right. Well, I think we've just about covered everything. I don't think we need to get into the Donnarumma stuff too much because it's more of a wishful thinking than anything. It's kind of funny to see what's going on with him in PSG, where PSG have basically left him out of the squad. He wasn't even available against Tottenham. But like Jay said, it's not realistic. We're not paying the ridiculous transfer fee PSG wants for him, and we're certainly not meeting his current wage demands. So until something more concrete comes with Donnarumma, we can leave that one alone. So that leads us to our first Jay's Hot Betting tip of the season. Jay, European football up and firing just about everywhere this weekend. I think Serie A is the last league, the last major league to not start yet. I saw some La Liga fixtures. I saw some Premier League fixtures pop up on my timelines over the weekend. I can't say I've watched any Premier League games, but do you have any Premier League or La Liga matches you want to provide some betting advice on?
Not matches, but we're at the head of the season, so it's time to work on the futures market. Get your money in early for Arsenal to win the Premier League, Milan to win the Serie A. Done and dusted.
Mikko, which of those is least realistic?
Least realistic out of those two. Milan, definitely Milan. They are not going to win anything. Well, maybe some Coppa, but since they play just one game per week, Arsenal, they might have a chance. But I don't know, do they need even more signings still? I don't know. I haven't followed that much. And the competition is pretty hard there.
Yeah, I was going to say, without drinking Jay's Milan propaganda, I actually think Milan has a better chance of winning Serie A title just because they'll be playing one game a week. I prefer that to Arsenal, who will inevitably choke against City and or Liverpool. All right, well, get those predictions in. Maybe next week we'll have Irfan on the podcast to bite back against some of this Milan hyping. Who knows? In all seriousness, Irfan, hopefully you have power back by now. So we'll catch you all then. Like I said, season preview coming up next week. Hard to believe we almost have an Inter match, but it'll be nice to pay attention to something on the pitch and not this wildly confusing Mercato sequence. So we'll catch you all then. Mikko, you know what to do.
Forza Inter.
Napoli.
Forza Marotta.
All right. Catch you guys later.